you mentioned some SaaS products, some digitalisation, some software, but also obviously cutting tools. Not going to put too much details on the cutting tools, but basically there's some tapping products, we've got some grooving part-off products, and we've got their latest milling products as well.
And what's this industry first as well that's happening? Ian or Dean, whomever's going to answer. What's this new technology that we're going to see?
Well, we've got two actually today. One is the Innotime, which I'll speak about shortly, and the other one
is one of our new evolutions in the coating of TigerTech. We're going to present TigerTech Gold WSP 45G.
Okay, brilliant. So if you are watching, if you're tuning in, thank you so much. Very exciting, of course, during the current situation of what's going on. This is just a perfect way for you to get your questions answered. I'm going to be repeating myself throughout the show, but we are going to be going over to Germany as well. We've got some industry experts in Germany talking for us today about all of the products, all the tooling, and those industry firsts that you've just heard, which are very exciting. So get those questions in. Joe, have you got any more questions for the guys before we begin the show?
No, it's just, I always ask this question, a day in the life of a tooling rep. I used to be a tooling rep, but I know it's evolved a lot over recent years. So, either of you, what's the day in the life of your current role?
Go on, Dean.
It's probably changed quite considerably, Joe, since you were doing it. We've got no Friday afternoons on the golf course or cutting the grass. But really, it's the Walter ethos is to really look after the customer, give the customer what they need, what they want, and make them more profitable. That's the bottom line.
Perfect. I think Dean's touched on it. It's understanding what the customer needs. Have we got a solution? Can we provide that solution as a cost-effective solution for the customer, and then supporting them from initial testing through to implementation and then onwards from there. So.
Lindsay, one for you. What are the benefits of a live broadcast such as today?
So a live broadcast is basically a way of you being able to speak to the industry experts without the problems of social distancing that we're all going through. It's a bit of an unknown water, isn't it, everything that's going on at the moment, but it's a way for you to get direct to that customer. You're not having to get in a car, you're not having to travel or find your way somewhere, stay overnight. You haven't got those expenses involved, but it's a way for you to get in touch with the product directly and the experts straight away. So and that's why I encourage anyone who's watching to come on in, get involved and talk to us. Like I say, throughout the whole show, we're going to be starting and stopping with questions so we can get an interactive. I'll be interrupting you all. I do apologise with questions, which is very exciting. Okay, let's kickstart the show then. So brand new, introduced by Walter, launching today is the Walter Innotime. This is a software solution to help customers work in a more efficient manner when processing and planning components. So today we're going to see how this exciting innovation delivers the tooling solutions faster than actually the industry standard right now does.
So let's start. First of all, with Walter Innotime, we combined already existing, Walter tools, like Walter GPS with the focus to find the right tool for a single operation. And this functionality we combined with a totally new technology which automatically identifies machining operations for a component based on a 3D model. Here we work together with our partner CMOS Systems. And as you can see, we can explain, the functionality of Walter Innotime in 3 easy steps. The first one is that you as a customer upload the 3D model of your component via drag and drop, and all common file formats are supported through Walter Innotime. And frankly speaking, the 3D model of the component, that's the key here, because it's the basic for the calculation of Walter Innotime. Because already during the upload of the 3D model, the application analyze the component and identify, let me say, the machining operation, sorry. So, and then as a second step, you as a customer have to further specify, I would say, your component. So you define, for example, the material, the machine, and other informations about your workpiece. And then Walter Innotime used this as a last step and creates a proposal for all machining operations and, let me say, for the most efficient tool for each operation. And then our Walter technician used this proposal, let me say, double check it, adjust it if it is necessary, creates a tool offer and send it back to you as fast as possible. Faster than the industry standard. And that's Walter Innotime.
So, Dean, Innotime, it's a very innovative product, like you've already said, but why was it brought to market?
It was brought to market, Joe, because it was recognised from Walter that customers needed to be more efficient in cutting tool solutions, getting the tools for the job, the right tools in the right time, in a timely manner. You know, sometimes on a complex part, it could take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to be able to analyse features, select the tools, and then get back to the customer with an offer. Within a time, we can do simple parts within a few minutes, complex parts within 2 or 3 days.
What do you class as a simple and a complex part?
A simple part is what we class as a simple prismatic part, so something that may come out of a billet, for instance. It'll be up to sort of 2,000 surfaces, which does seem a hell of a lot, but believe me, when you start working through the features, it diminishes quite quickly. A more complex part that the main Innotime system runs upon was set up for 8,000, and it's a lot more than that now.
Mm-hmm. Can we take a look at it?
Yeah. I've got a simple model that I set up earlier for you, so I'll just show you and run through this as a quick demonstration. It's on our website platform. So as you go into the Walter website, into tools, on search and shop, and Innotime is sat right there. So what we need to run Innotime is a customer's finished part model. So all we do with that is we will drag and drop the part model into that section there, and you'll see that opening up. And what we have there is not just a picture of the model, it's actually a 3D viewer, so we can do different things. We can change the views, so we can take screenshots when we're putting the proposal together. But to run through the Innotime process, what we need to do from that base model is assign, if there is any threads, materials, any fit diameters, so ream diameters, and then the material details, the machine details, and then Innotime will automatically bring us out a tooling solution for that.
How about like thread tolerances and things like this?
It's the thread tolerances set up in the background, so we can select the correct thread with the correct the correct tolerance fit a thread.
Yeah, and from there, obviously we've got this here. What's it actually doing in the background? What's the end result?
The end result. So if I run through this one now, then Joe, what we've got is, let's say that these 4 corner holes are a threaded hole. I can just accept each one of those there. I can add the threads into that model, because on the basic model that comes in the step file, obviously the threads are not not annotated. So I've set that model up now with the threads. I'm going to choose a material. So this now links directly into our GPS system, which obviously we're going to talk about shortly. So all our material database is in there. So I'm just picking a standard 316 stainless. I send that into our Innotime web portal. I select a machine. Now the machines are, again, in GPS. So you as a customer can set up your standard machine shop in GPS, so you've got your actual machines. I've not got any set up, so I'll just use a standard machine for this with this demonstration.
Sure. Is there any issues with like non-disclosure, any NDAs, things like this?
From Walter's perspective, no. It's down to the customer. If the customer's got no problem around the NDA side, then Walter haven't. But obviously, we have the facility to to sign into NDAs.
Sure, we've got a question coming in. Is it required to upload the stock model as well?
Not for the web-based version. The web-based version, as I said, it's a very simplified version, and you'll see as we go through, we can put raw stock on there. So if it's a billet and there's some material to come off the surfaces, we can add the stock to this. Mm-hmm. For a more complex one, where it may be a casting or a forging, then there's another facility that we can add the raw stock model.
Do you know, for me, this has presumably been developed with the end user in mind.
Yeah.
But as sales engineers, application engineers, it's going to become your best friend, surely.
Honestly, it's a godsend in what we're doing. As I say, Ian and myself have worked on it for a year now, mm-hmm. and we've done some complex parts, and we know full well to feature list it out, it took us a week to 2 weeks to feature list it out. We could run it through Innotime, and within a couple of hours, it's computed itself and got us a full feature list. We still need the physical aspects of the 2D drawing, so we can check against that, so we can get everything right. But it saves the customer days and days of work. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the limitations? I'm thinking. Still, you're not taking the skill out of the job. You still need to be an engineer and know it. But surely, from a quoting perspective, mm-hmm. The buyers, the people putting the quote together, is this going to generate a rough cycle time?
It's not going to generate a rough cycle time now. It will generate as a wish list that we can put into a standard quotation format. Mm-hmm. So if I continue through that, I can show you that a little bit. Yeah. So send the machine details to the Innotime. This is the area where we can add stock to the blank. So this is not as if it's a cast part. This is if it's a billet part, and then it's simply click calculate. So in the background now, this is working through Innotime, and it will generate as a tooling wish list.
So it's obviously it's a Walter product. Do you need to be a Walter customer, presumably?
You do, because it's sat on our web base. You need to be either one of our engineers, one of our channel partners, or one of a direct customer. Anybody that's got access to the tool shop system on our website can use this web-based version of the software now.
Very good. So we've got another question coming in. Hi, I hope you've had a good day. Thank you very much. Do you have salespeople in Ireland? From James McMahon.
Yes, we do. We have one guy that covers Northern and Republic of Ireland, yeah.
There we are.
What's your coverage in the UK? Sorry, this is a personal question. What's the coverage in the UK? So where are you based? Where do people know Walter is based, their headquarters?
Walter's headquarters is based in Bromsgrove. Yeah. There's 33 of us working for Walter. Majority of us are out on the road, mm-hmm. home based. So we've got coverage through the whole country, right from the southern tip up to the top of Scotland and over into Ireland.
Right, okay.
And on the Innotime, like you've rightly said, this is quite a straightforward part. How complex can you go? Does any 3D features or anything like a landing gear or aerospace components?
I've not used it on such as a landing gear, but on a gearbox housing, which is a very complex part. What you need to do with Innotime on such as a part such as that is generally they're going to be high volume components. They're going to be time restrictive on cycle times. So some features, if you've got a step drilled hole, 3 steps and a chamfer, mm-hmm. Innotime would pull you 4 different tools out, whereas the customer in that industry would have a one-hit tool for that. So this is where your application engineers, your field sales engineers would be involved with it, and then they would be able to refine the wish list to more match the customer's requirements with the specials. But at the moment, it is in process. Innotime is developing weekly. It really is developing weekly. But it's in time. It will come. But at the moment, if we've got specials, we have to design them and build them ourselves. But it will highlight where a special is needed as well.
Okay, so thank you everybody for all of your questions. So we've got some more coming in. If you're watching, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Even if you just want to give us a thumbs up or a hi, how you doing, what you had for lunch or anything like that, honestly, just get those questions in. We'd love to hear from you, and just knowing that you're watching means quite a lot to us on the floor. Right, we've had a question come in. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Walter Innotime seems to be designed for reverse engineering. Does it require always an online connection to function, or would it work offline or in an area without solid internet connection? And this is Sam Warrener, who we've met, I think he's an apprentice, from Arnold Rag.
Good question.
It is a good question. Thanks, Sam. This web-based version that we're releasing today it's, as it says, web-based. So yes, you do need to be online. Innotime is a massive solution behind the web-based version, and we have got facilities where, by contacting the field sales engineer or the application engineer, or the customer can just send us the models. We can actually run Innotime remotely from them, put a session together, have an output, give them the feature list and the tool list accordingly.
For sure, Sam. We've met Sam, who we've been to Arnold Rag fairly recently. It's a good point. Sam's an apprentice. He'll go fast. Sam's a clever lad. But this is great for an apprentice, isn't it? Even as a double check-in, checking you think what's in your head is actually correct.
It is fantastic. I mean, there's nothing. It doesn't replace us as engineers. You know, for instance, this particular simple example here, as I run down there, I know full well that, you know, this particular customer, let's say, wouldn't utilise that particular product because his inventory is built of other products. So this is where the engineer will come in and we'd modify that. But it's easy to modify in this section here.
Okay, so this list here is essentially what Innotime believes the tools you should order.
Yeah.
But I guess potentially you may have 2 end mills, but you may think I'm going to do a different strategy so I can drop an end mill out.
Yeah, correct. It will always, on a milling feature, it will always give you a roughing and a finishing tool. It looks in GPS and it selects the most cost-effective solution. So it's the one solution that's at the top of our selection criteria. Now that's not always necessarily the right thing for the particular customer. For instance, your mass production, the cost per part, cost per hole, it will always be that product. If you're a small jobbing shop that's got a small batch of components, you're never going to get the value out of that product. So we can look further down GPS and adjust this accordingly. So we can tailor it for each and every customer.
It's going to save a lot of time.
Massively time saving, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm convinced, Lindsay. I don't know what you think. But
yeah, I've got some more questions coming in, so that's a good thing. Thank you so much. We like to hear from you, so thank you. Hi everyone. Hope all is well. So we're doing all right. Have the nerves gone a little bit?
Yeah, they're in my feet now.
Dean's got nerves in his feet. That's good to know. I'm new to Walter, and thanks MTD for bringing your company to our attention. Thank you, MTD, for bringing the company. Yep. So have watched the Innotime videos, which does look really interesting. My questions regarding Innotime: does the tooling suggested offer speeds and feeds, etc., along with the wish list? And does Walter provide on-site assistance, time and motion studies, or on-site vending solutions for perhaps cellular establishment? Thank you. That's Paul Brunton from Arnold Rag. So let's go for the first question here. So does the tooling suggested offer speeds and feeds, etc., along with the wish list?
On the web-based version, no.
Okay.
In the simplest answer. But if we do an Innotime session with Paul for his component, on the main frame system, then we will get not only the wish list, but we will also get the cutting data, which is directly from GPS.
Right. And the second one, if you want to message in again there, Paul, much appreciated. So does Walter provide on-site assistance, time or motion studies, or on-site vending solutions for perhaps cellular establishment?
Yes, yes, and yes.
We like those answers.
As Ian mentioned earlier at the beginning, Walter isn't just about selling a cutting tool. It's the whole service. So if Paul wants us to go into his site and look at an existing process, benchmark the existing process, take it away and give a proposal, we'll then demonstrate that proposal, hopefully show cost savings, and then support him in implementation and after sales as well.
And tooling management we're going to cover later on. So if you stay tuned, Paul, you'll find out more.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for messaging in there, Paul. Right, okay, next up, if you've got processes that you want to improve but don't have capacity, let's take a look at how Walter have responded to your needs.
You want to manufacture your products while minimizing development and testing costs. With Walter, you can rely on maximum production process efficiency. With an integrated CAD/CAM system which digitally networks the production environment with the construction, we're offering you a solution which can make your production processes highly efficient and minimize your development costs. All you need to do is simply provide us with the CAD data for your product. From this, we'll create a 3D model and work with you to define the specifications for your product, while always considering your production options. At the CAD/CAM workshop, the 3D model is analysed, the fixture concept is prepared, and the position in the clamping arrangement is checked. We define a production plan for your tool production, and the complete machining of your workpiece is simulated. Only when all the operations in the production process have been precisely defined and checked is the NC program generated, saved, and transferred to the machine. The Walter CAD/CAM service enables the optimal smooth running of your production processes. You avoid high costs for tools and testing, and significantly increase the efficiency and productivity of your company. The Walter CAD/CAM service for maximum efficiency during production.
Well, that's the first software product of the day. But before we move on to there, we've just had a question come in on Innotime again.
Okay.
You can probably answer this. Does it include back ends, tool holders, or is it purely the cutting tools?
At the moment, it's just the cutting tools and the front end tooling, the consumable part of it. But like Dean said, within the expanded version, we can put a tool build up together behind it so that the customer has a complete tool for the process and the feature that he needs to machine.
There we are. So it's evolving probably by the week at this stage.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if we move on to the first of today's SaaS products, as I call them, the CAD/CAM solutions. How does that work?
The CAD/CAM solution is a solution that we've got in Germany. We've got the tech centre in Walter Tübingen, which is our main headquarters. And within that facility, we've got access to machine tools, including 5-axis machines and lathes. What we can do with that facility, in conjunction with Germany, is take the customer's either feature or complete component, and we can help them improve that process, reduce costs, reduce their the machining times to give them efficiencies.
Okay, so how does that play out? They send you a step file or a drawing?
We can do it similar to how we've done the Innotime bit. It can be done through 2D drawings as well. It's a case of understanding with the customer how they do it today, taking some of their knowledge as well, and then applying the knowledge of Walter professionals who know how to apply our cutting tools, putting the two things together to get the maximised benefit. And
it's fair to say, it doesn't matter where in the world it is, does it? You've got, we've got Skype now. In fact, we're using it more than we've ever used it due to COVID-19. So you could prove these parts out in space in theory, can't you? You're proving the process.
Maybe not space, Joe, but yeah, certainly we've got live links to the tech centre through Teams, and any testing that we do, the customer can dial in. Obviously, with the restrictions we've got on travel now, the customer can dial in. He can actually see that part being machined, and we also have the beauty of the Teams meetings to try and understand the process fully before we press the button and
Yeah,
show
so
them what we can do.
So there's no barriers. Essentially, I presume like you make the parts, don't you? They can either send forgings, castings, or more often than not, presumably, there'll be billet material.
Yes, we receive the material, we put together the cutting tools, we generate the NC programs. We have access to NX, CATIA, Hypermill, all the CAM systems that we require that hopefully replicate what the customer has. Using all of that and putting it all together, then we transfer it to one of our machine tools. We understand that our machine tools might not directly replicate what the customer has, but we try and put it together so that they can at least see the process. The rapid times, the spindle speeds might be limited, but at least we can give them some indication as what processes and what improvements that we can do.
Yeah, and how does that report look? Presumably at the end of this you get some sort of report, certainly a tooling list, because you're trying to sell tools. So you get a tooling list, maybe cycle times, things like this?
Yeah, that's all available, Joe. It's we can do it through a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, put it all together so that we can split out each feature, each tool, show the customer exactly what they were doing before, what the improvements are, and how they can benefit them, and that's all presented as a report to take back to the customer so that they can make a calculated judgment on what they want to do next.
And is this something that's already happening? Is this brand new here in the UK?
I've started running with it over the last 18 months and I've had some experience with it. I don't think we've done too much from the UK, something that we probably want to do more of, because it's all customers today use their machine tools for production. The capacity for proving out new jobs and proving out new processes is restricted unless we take some of their machine time, and then they've got to claim that back through overtime or working additional shifts. So we take that risk away from them, take it to Germany, so that we can then come back to the UK and put it on their machine. It's something that we have got facility to do.
Yeah, to me, I'm thinking if I had a machine shop, would I do it? And I can tell you I would. I'd want my, certainly I don't want my machines down. But typically, who's using this service? Do you have to be the blue chip multinationals, or can you be a first tier or an SME?
It's open to pretty much everybody. There's going to be a return on investment for us, but it's more so for the customer to understand what Walter tooling is available and demonstrate exactly what we can do, from taking it from what they do today and delivering it back to them and then supporting them going forward as well.
And I've got a funny feeling you don't do this once, probably. Once you've done it and you're through the process, when you get these complex components into your shop again, you're presumably going to do it again. Does that happen?
It's something that's always moving. We're going to talk about developments and evolutions of cutting tools soon. The new and the latest and greatest cutting tool is going to come out. It's going to perform better, and then you start the cycle all over again.
So, like you rightly say, there's going to be a cost implication, but you don't always know the best tools, do you, for the job? You think you do, but any cost that goes into the process improvement, you're probably going to get back in either improved productivity or tool life, or a combination of both.
It's definitely going to be a combination of both in most instances.
Yeah. So again, for me, it's another software product. It's something you wouldn't necessarily associate with a cutting tool manufacturer. And so how do people find out more about this service from Walter?
Again, the contacts are running along the bottom of the screen now. Dean and myself are contacts to start with, but everybody who has access to their FSCs or key accounts managers, applications engineers, make contact with them. They're the first protocol for everything that we'll talk about today, and they will take that information away and they will move it on for them.
Yeah, again, to me, it's a service I highly recommend people use. So get in touch with Walter or MTD and we can put you in touch with Walter. But over to Lindsay, who's got the next video.
Right, okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your messages coming in as well. So welcome if you're watching us. This is the Walter.live UK event. We're going to be live for probably another hour and a half. We've got some industry firsts that we're seeing today. So technology that you've never, ever seen before. If you've got any tooling questions, this is the time. So if you were, say, going to an event and you were going to ask an industry expert some questions, this is the time. Just write them in. They come straight through to myself. We'll put them on the screen and we'll ask Ian or Dean some of your questions, and we've also got another guest coming along later. Right, we did have a message that came in. It did come up on the screen, but Ben Wesley, you wrote, I've been using Walter GPS for a while now. This new system looks like it could be a great help with efficiency. Let us know your thoughts, Ben. What are you thinking about, Walter Live? Let us know, give us your comments, your feedback. We'd really love to hear from you. Right, okay, so let's move on. So to further assist assist speeding up the planning and processes and to find the right tool for your job, we're now going to look briefly at what Walter's guided product search is, or GPS as Ian just said, and as most of you know it.
With more than 900 customers and 15,000 users, TDM Systems, part of the Sandvik Group, is the leading software manufacturer for managing tool data across different sectors worldwide. With Industry 4.0, the requirements are growing for increasingly shorter project runtimes, maximum process reliability in production, and more productivity. TDM Systems is meeting these challenges with intelligent software solutions for tool management. TDM Tool Lifecycle Management ensures optimum communication between the planning and manufacturing levels. The TDM base module, Global Line, forms the foundation for tool management. With a large number of integrations and easy operation, TDM Global Line helps with process planning, enables you to control production orders, plan the required production resources, and to control and supervise manufacturing facilities. With software solutions from TDM Systems, you can minimize your tooling and manufacturing costs. From design through to manufacturing on the machine, you create transparent and effective inventory management, reduce the variety of tool types, and achieve maximum efficiency when selecting tools. With optimum tool use, optimum tool logistics, and accurate tool data, you reduce your tooling costs by 20% and reduce your machine downtimes by 30%. Whether you have manufacturing facilities all over the world at various locations or operate locally, with the fully integrated software for tool management from TDM Systems, you can rely on efficient processes and maximum productivity right from the start. TDM Systems, your experts for maximum productivity.
You're looking for the right tooling solution regarding your turning operation? The machining navigation Walter GPS supports you finding it. From the drawing to the machining operation. Start Walter GPS online on the Walter homepage at walter-tools.com. The application-related search guides you to the tool recommendation. Simply enter the material you want to machine. Select the appropriate turning operation and enter the required machining parameters. Here for a roughing operation. Walter GPS recommends economical tooling solutions and cutting data for your application. Walter GPS provides you with solutions for finishing operations with defined surface qualities. Receive recommendations for tooling solutions and cutting data for grooving operations on your component. Use the tool-related search to perform further operations with an existing Walter tool. Simply enter the tool designation in the search field. Walter GPS finds your tool and supports you in selecting the right insert. Further to the application. Via material selection and parameters, You'll receive the recommended cutting data with just a few clicks. Walter GPS. Easy operation as well as fast tool and cutting data recommendation guarantee economical machining solutions for your application.
Wow, where do we start with that? To me, in my head, you use the two in tandem potentially. The GPS, the GPS and the TDM systems. Is that what you see happening?
Yeah, starting with TDM, Joe. TDM Tool Data Management System. It's a one-stop place to store all of your tool data. We've talked about the data that could come from Innotime. We speak about the part numbers, the lengths of certain drills, geometries. It's a perfect place to start storing the data in TDM. Within TDM, you can then generate your tool assemblies, you can create kits and tool lists, and then we can take that off to the machine tool. To support that is where the GPS comes in. I think a lot of people who are probably watching today, certainly us guys, we're pretty familiar with using GPS to get the right tool for the solution that is required. That information can be transferred through to TDM and the previous subject we were talking about, the CAD-CAM system, through the manufacturing data management function, if that's available with customers' CAD-CAM systems.
So it's almost like a cradle to grave, isn't it? It's a scenario where you're getting involved right in the early stage, maybe even the quoting process, all the way through to getting it into place and even tool management.
Exactly that, yeah. And Anna's going to talk about tool management a bit later on. But most customers who are watching today, and we've had the comments already regarding Innotime, have probably used GPS. Once they've gotten that information from the tool, 9 times out of 10 they may take that tool and apply it to the machine, and sometimes the data might be lost. So the next time they need to generate a 10 mil hole, they may end up buying a new tool. TDM will help them store that information and be able to access it quickly, so it stops repetition of purchased tools as well.
Yeah, and this data, what can you do with it? Presumably you could export it to other softwares or maybe to PDFs to send tooling companies and things? Yeah,
the data that can be generated from TDM can be exported to PDFs for issue to shop floor. Should tool presetting areas need to build up tools, that's perfect. With regards to GPS, we can PDF the report that comes up to indicate the speeds and feeds, the potential tool life available, and we can put that in a PDF report and distribute that to the customer so they've got the complete package for applying the tool correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're watching this live, get your questions in. Whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, please do get your questions in whilst the experts are live. But software, it's becoming fundamental for cutting tool manufacturers, aren't they? It's probably gone are the days where you could just sell an end mill.
It has. The Walter Tool Company, established in 1919, was producing cutting tools and has done for many, many years and still will do. But we've evolved from that now. We've gone to the stage of process evaluation, and we're now going into the digitalisation stage with Industry 4.0. TDM, GPS, Innotime all fit within that window.
And what's the global idea? Is it to reduce skill level? Is it to increase time? Reduce time, increase productivity? What is the fundamental idea of all these SaaS products, software products?
The global idea is not to dumb down the metal cutting industry. It's to improve that knowledge, improve the skill level. Every spindle that runs in the world needs to be producing parts to put on the floor to go to the end users. We constantly talk about backlogs within machine shops. If we can make components more efficiently, it all helps with the costs going forward.
Sure. We just had a question in from James.
Okay.
Have you got any case studies on this? Have you got any proven ROIs on these types of solutions?
On the CDM system?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
We can probably get them direct from Germany, yeah. If James, sorry?
Yeah.
If James wants to get in contact with either Dean or myself through the email address that's running along the bottom of the screen, then we can help with him try and find them.
That's good. So again, it's just continually evolving. Presumably, if Walter were back in the studio this time next year, we'd be having a similar conversation, but this software would have got better and better and better.
Yeah, that's the aim, Joe. It's a case of what we've got today. We can't stand still, because if we stand still, somebody's going to catch us up, and then they become the number one. It's always difficult when you're number one. You've got to try and stay number one. So.
Ian, I've got a question actually myself, just from what you're talking about. You know, we go out and about to different machine shops, different sizes. You know, Industry 4.0 and all of this software and the investment in it, what sizes of machine shops are you looking at? You know, are you looking at the bigger companies, or are you talking, you know, is a small job shop going to be able to afford this type of technology? Do they need this type of technology? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, Lindsay, are it does apply to the mass manufacturing, but it also applies to the smaller manufacturing. Everybody needs to make efficiencies within the jobs that they do. Everybody needs to become more and more competitive, because we're all competing with one another. Whatever we talk about today applies to the subcontractors right the way through to the OEMs.
Yeah, so it really is. You're basically saying the key to survival, essentially, is what you're saying. The key to survival is having to use Industry 4.0, having to use this type of technology to keep up to date, to keep price conscious with your competition. If not, there is potential for you to fall in the wrong direction.
Yeah, become uncompetitive.
Yeah.
You almost go from being a supplier to a partner, don't you? You know, if you get in early enough into a business, you grow with that business.
Yep, exactly that. We're working partnership. We're the side of the partnership that know the cutting tools and how to apply them. The customer will know their materials, they'll know their processes, they'll know their applications, and that's a perfect partnership to better things.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess it kind of, for me, hearing that, it kind of seems like the starting block of what's to come in the future as well. Now, we have had a question come in. This isn't direct from what the conversation we just had, but do you have salespeople in India? This is from Suresh from Carl Zeiss in India.
Yes, we do have salespeople in India. Again, if you can get in contact with us, we can find out the people who you need to contact directly, and then hopefully have these discussions with them people as well.
And also Marco says hello on LinkedIn, so a big wave to you, Marco. Thanks for watching, and anybody else who's watching us, thank you so much. Again, as I've said, this is a chance and a moment for you to get all of those questions regarding tooling, regarding who Walter are, Walter, what do they do? Send them in to us on any social media platform that you're watching us, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere that you are watching us, send them in. And you can also hashtag Walter.live UK, and we'll get those on Twitter and ask the industry experts your questions. Right, okay, next up. So now, parts are getting smaller. Features are also getting smaller. So let's see how Walter Germany have responded with the latest addition to their world-leading range of drilling products.
So I'm pleased to introduce our Microdrills DB133 and our pilot microdrills DB131. Let's start with the main cutting edge. So we make a special edge preparation, means we make a small rounding on the main cutting edge that stabilize the cutting edge and will remove all the micro cracks we have. So that gives a process reliability. The next is the internal coolant. Internal coolant will help us to improve the cutting data. So when we can improve the cutting data, we also can improve the productivity to the customers. And will also help to bring right on the right place the coolant where we need it. And you see we have two channels down to the cutting edge. And on the end we have a so-called a coolant chamber. And that helps us to bring the coolant very quick through the drill and will increase the flute rate. To the flute design, that is important for the chip breaking. So that will generate very small chips. And we have always imagined we are talking about a diameter range of 0.7 millimeters. So there's not a lot of space for the chips. Therefore, we have to have very short chips which are easy to evacuate out of the hole. And in addition to that, to the short chips, we can use that drill also in different kind of materials. So we have ISOP materials, we can use it in stainless steel, cast iron, non-ferrous material, as well as in high temper alloys. So that gives you also a kind of a universality of DB133.
There we have it, the new Microdrills. But before we get into the Microdrills, hello to everyone watching on Instagram and all the other social channels live. Please do get involved, ask your questions. We're talking Microdrills, but that doesn't mean you can't ask questions about products we've already talked about, or in fact, things we're going to talk about later on in the show. But Microdrills, you know, my first question, what are the design elements you have to consider when bringing a new Microdrill to market?
Well, the Microdrill, the brand new Microdrill DP131 and 133 that we've brought to market, Joe, it's the design elements, it's a new point microgeometry, polished flutes and a brand new coating there, so increases productivity, swarf evacuation, etc.
It's exactly that. So components, Lindsay mentioned earlier, components are getting small, watches, mobile phones and all the rest of it.
Yep.
So does that mean the market's bigger now for Microdrills?
I think it's pretty much an untapped market for a lot of manufacturers, a lot of cutting tool manufacturers. It's a market that has deemed the investment into developing these new products, and they are a major advancement on our previous Microdrills, which was a smaller product portfolio.
And for people who are unaware maybe of your history of the Walter business, obviously you're coming from a position of strength with the Titex brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Walter brand image is a multi-brand image. So we have Walter Prototype and Walter Titex. So They're all brand names in their own right, known out in the industry as market leading. So this is a Walter Titex drill. So again, using all the same technology, all the same design and performance benefits that we get from the Titex product portfolio, and advancing it forward.
And just a free tip for anyone watching, you know, is there any limitations? What are the setup requirements of a micro drill?
It's because of the size and the nature of the size of the drill. Then obviously there is accuracies that you need to be. Run outs on machines and things do need to be better generally, but in general they are quite forgiving. But you do need a slightly more accurate setup than if you were going to put a 10mm drill down a hole.
Yeah, and maybe some coolant considerations also. Yeah,
I mean the range we have through coolant capability from 0.7 to 1.984.
That's incredible.
yeah. I can't even see it.
Yeah, top marks to the cameraman, because I can't see it here, but I'm sure you can at home.
Yeah, so and up to 12 times D as well on these diameters. So yeah, swarf evacuation is key when you're drilling any diameter, any size, but particularly when you're small diameters. So the coolant supply and the polished flutes enable that swarf evacuation and prevent drill breakage. Yeah, there's
an argument. This is eliminating EDM drilling. There's certain diameters in certain materials you wouldn't have dreamed of drilling a number of years ago. Whereas now I've seen your drills drilling all materials from aluminium to the toughest imaginable.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because we have got a customer in the northern region that had a spark driller for removing taps from broken taps from their components, and with the Titex technology, the Walter Titex technology, they've actually sold the machine because of the lack of breakages in the processes. So
yeah, so you briefly mentioned the range earlier, but where does it start and where does it finish in terms of the diameter to length ratios and things like this?
So what you've got is two separate products in the full range. You've got DB131, which is a pilot drill. It's a 2 times diameter pilot drill. It's fully coated up the flutes, and as I say, this is used as a pilot drill. It's a 150-degree point angle, which makes it perfect for following it with a deep hole drill. The drill is ground to a P7 tolerance, so it's a plus tolerance. Again, perfect for pilot drilling for deep holes. The DB133 we have the diameters of 0.5 to 1.984. On the DB133, it starts at 0.7 to 1.984 with through coolant, and down to 0.5 with solid drills. 5 times D, 8 times D, and 12 times D.
Mm-hmm. A question we had on Twitter yesterday, when they saw the products we're going to be promoting, talked about the importance of being on center on a lathe, on the sliding head lathe.
Yeah, it is important in any drilling application that you get the center heights right, you get the alignments right. More so with a micro drill, because of the nature, it's not as strong as a large drill. Obviously, there's no bulk strength there.
Sure. And are there any limitations now?
Is in regards?
In terms, I'm thinking materials in particular.
Materials. The range is designed to run across the full range of ISO materials. So steel, P, M, K, S, N, non-ferrous, plastics, and hardened materials. What we do say is we recommend on the stainlesses and the super alloys that you would use the through coolant drills, not the solid drills, apart from the piloting. So
yeah, from my perspective, to be honest with you, I'd always use the through coolant. When you're down at this diameter, you've got to get that swarf back.
Always, yeah.
If that drill fails, it will be down to your swarf control.
Yeah.
So why not just use through coolant?
Yeah. The vast majority of machines now have got through coolant capabilities. Very few machines go out into the market without it. So yeah, the cost of the drill, the price of the drill is no different. So why not? You may as well use the coolant, and it gives you two things. It gives you better productivity, you can run quicker, and the tool life and the security of the process.
And these drills, they don't just come onto the market overnight. There's a lot of R&D, a lot of development in Germany on this product. So presumably you've benchmarked this against other drills, maybe even your own drills. So how's it come out?
When any product is developed in Germany, there's a full background benchmarking exercise. So they will always benchmark against our previous product to ensure that you are going to get the benefits out of a brand new product. also they'll identify with market research the main runners within that industry in that product range and always benchmark against those. And they will never bring out a new product from Germany that is not going to be an improvement on the competitors.
Yeah. And we have a question.
Yeah, we've had a question come in. Thank you. Welcome everybody. If you've just tuned in, we've got lots to come. We're going to be talking later on with Anna about tool management, and we've also got some Comara, which I know that you, Joe, absolutely love. Before we got here, we stayed in a hotel last night, and you were like, oh my gosh, the software is amazing. So we've got some industry firsts as well coming up, but we do have a question coming in, so we do encourage you to write your questions in. So Artem Agin has written in, what is Walter's view on additive built cutter bodies and or tool holders?
Yeah, thank you for that one.
Well, blame Artem, not me.
Yeah. Well, from our perspective in GB, we're not, because it'll be a development side, we don't always get involved in that side of it. But I know there's work going on to see whether there's the cost benefits and the strength benefits of doing that. I know there's work going on, but any more information than that I can't say.
Mm-hmm. So just on the micro drills, stocking levels, it's quite important.
Yeah. All the products you'll see today are only released once stock has been built. So there's a period of stock building before the release date. The DB133. The DB131 and 133 in certain sizes have been available since January, but it's a full stock standard range.
Right, brilliant. Okay, thank you so much for all your questions. Keep them coming in. We do encourage you, and a very good, is it morning still? It's still morning, isn't it? Good morning to each and every single one of you. Right, okay, next up is grooving. So grooving is evolving. In fact, it's estimated that about 80% of CNC machine shops use grooving tools. So let's see how Walter have improved this area of manufacturing.
did quite some testing before we launched the new tool to the market. And what you can see here on the chart, we did testing on steel materials, ISOP materials, for example, bearing steel 100 CR6. And on those materials, we could increase the tool life by 115%. Then when we look on the ISO-M materials like austenitic stainless steels 1.4571 or duplex materials, here we could even increase the tool life higher by 132%. So on average, we had a tool life increase of 122%, what is quite a good result. So like seen now in the video, we could reduce the tool changing time by more than 70% with the new smart lock system. So we changed first of all to a new form fit. So the insert has a form fit now between the tool holder and the insert, and on the front and the back of the insert we have this new style, and it gives you more stability. Then the second point what we changed is our coolant. So we have precision coolant on all of these tools available on the rake face, in the clearance face. So this gives you the possibility to improve the chip control, but it also helps to increase the tool life. Then the third point, you see our new smart lock system, like just seen in the video. So you can access the clamping screw from the side. And another benefit is that we have about 40% higher clamping forces. Also, what we can see on the tool, we have the possibility to connect the coolant on 3 threads. So it's quite universal, no matter which type of machine you have. So if you have a Tornos, a Citizen, a Star, Tsugami, so it will fit on all the different types of machines. When we look on the insert side, so you can see the prism now, what we put on the front and the back of the insert. So we call it a form fit also. And the advantage here is that you have a higher stability, especially when you machine, for example, in a groove turning operation where you have high radial and axial forces, especially the axial forces in this case, or when you do a parting off operation with an inclined insert. The other point is we have improved the easy handling now with the new form fit. When you use a very thin insert like grooving width of 1.5 millimeters, so it will be perfect aligned in the tool holder, so there will be no misalignment anymore. And our third point, we also have a better access for the coolant, so it means the coolant gets better to the main cutting edge, and therefore you also can increase the tool life.
Wow, brilliant. Parting and grooving. But before I say that, coming up later in the show, we've got Take It Gold, we've got Comara iCut, AppCon and tool management. So don't go anywhere. But parting and grooving, it's an essential part of, well, yeah, 80% plus of machine shops, isn't it? So in terms of the smart lock system, why the smart lock system?
Question back to you is why not? I mean, we've just watched a video that shows that the tool change time can be reduced by 70%. Sliding head machines are designed to manufacture hundreds and thousands of components over a 24-hour period. So you want that machine to be running, putting parts in the bin to be taken away. When I say bin, the good bin, not the scrap bin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why you would want the smart lock system to make sure your machine is running more than it's down.
Yeah, I'm in, don't worry.
Okay.
So in terms of insert widths, for sliding head lathes, some of these materials are very expensive. So where are you in terms of the range of inserts?
The range of inserts, we start at 1.5mm and we go up to 3mm at the minute with the DX18 insert.
Mm-hmm. And again, return on investment, all these little, I say little, if you're changing a job, it can be quite time consuming. So rough return on investment of switching over to your system?
Return on investment, the video has already pointed out, it could be up to a 70% saving. Obviously, if you can combine that with the rest of your tool changes, then that saving can definitely be achieved. If you're having to stop the machine just to change one insert, we know that can be greatly reduced. But we've seen it on the video, just a quick demonstration. 3 turns, insert can be removed on the side, the turns on the side, drop the insert back in, and it's turned to tighten back up. And that's it, the insert's changed, your machine's ready to go again.
As quick as that. And how about other things, like side turning, turning?
We've got a patented form fit geometry on the insert, which locates on the bottom and the back side of the insert as it sits into the tool holder. What that allows us to do is to do the general parting and grooving, but it makes it a far more robust process for groove turning as well, for the side and that radial forces.
I was going to ask that. Quite often when you go to the next generation of products, quite often the change is quite incremental. But I see this, it's a massive step change. So how stable is that pocket for the insert?
I don't know if Ian can get this on the camera, but it would have been pointed out on the video. There's a form on the front of the insert, typical with the standard groove on the bottom, but then that locates in the back of the pocket to make sure that the insert can't slide side to side as you're doing that process. I don't know if you can get in there, Ian. No? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, just repeat that once again, if you don't mind, sorry.
The form fit on the front of the insert, which is a 2-edged insert, as it's put back into the tool holder, we're locating on the bottom groove, and then it's locating in the back of the tool holder to prevent it moving side to side as it's under load in the groove turning application.
So there really is no downside then. So we're saying it's quicker to change it over. Arguably, well, not arguably, the health and safety requirement is much improved, because quite often it can be challenging, and obviously the sharp inserts, and there's a health and safety element. But if you do that and the insert's less stable, it's, other than health and safety, it's pointless. But you seem to have overcome a number of issues with this latest generation. Yep,
we definitely have. And it's still available in Tiger Tech Silver, so take advantage of all them coating technologies with the chip breakers for the specific materials that are being machined as well.
This is brand new, hot off the press. How's this range going to evolve over the months and years to come?
This is DX18. It's limited on the size of the bar that we can use it for parting off. The next stage to be developed by Germany will be DX28. That takes it up to a larger diameter bar, so we can get more of the savings that we're seeing with DX18.
Mm-hmm. So this is the parting and grooving system, the new one from Walter Tools. If you've got any questions, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, please do get in touch. But how new is it? Is it launched today? Is it available today?
DX18 has been available since the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another iPack release coming soon, but yeah, it's ready to go. It's ready to go.
So anyone out there with a sliding head lathe, or maybe not just a sliding head lathe, please do get in touch with the guys at Walter Tools. All information's on the screen below, or get in touch with MTDCNC.
Right, okay, we've covered quite a few topics, but we've still got some more to come later on, and we've also got another guest, Anna, who's going to be talking about tool management. But next up, most components these days have threaded holes. So now we're going to see Walter's newly developed TC470 Supreme thread former and the benefits it will bring to your high volume manufacturing.
So first of all, in general, to say the thread forming process produces no chips. That's the big difference between thread tapping or thread milling in general. Because we are producing no chips, it's interfering the machining process. And chips can lead to fractures from the cutting edge or the forming edge, or maybe for totally tool breakage as well. So there is, in one hand, the new thread former developed geometry. This guarantees high tool life, high process reliability, and a continuous quality. Also quite important in the series production or in the mass production, because there's no need for interrupted machining process for that. That's quite important for them. This high pin spotting is extremely hard and very smooth. This prevents material adhesion, we are calling welding. This would be, or this has an impact of the thread quality as well, and require the thread former to be replaced early. And in general speaking, the new geometry combined with new thread former's very high surface quality, this reduces the torque for around about 35% in general, in average. And this means a lower torque, have a less heat at the tool, and in the end, a higher tool life in general. Other possibilities that can be used now with machines with lower power. Here in this short movie or video, you can see that thus allows these three aspects to enable us to recommend a higher cutting speed, as you can see here in this short section from the movie. On the right hand, the TC470 Supreme, the new one. We are recommending this in general with cutting speed with 30 meters per minute. In the middle, competitor ones, they recommend this in their catalog with 23 meters, and we have more than double cutting speed compared to HSSE powder metal steel. In this slide, that's let me say a summarize what we are recommending in different kind of materials. These all materials are ISO-P materials in this area, and in general, we have really a significantly impact of the cutting speed in general, and overall time saving for large series or in the mass production. On average, we can say, or we can achieve between 26% up to 77% higher cutting speeds in different kind of these steel materials.
Well, I have to say, Thibaut's presented that very, very well. But before we get into that product, possibly start with the basics for the maybe some apprentices and new engineers watching. Why would an engineer use a roll tap, a thread forming a roll tap ahead of a cut tap?
Yeah, generally speaking, well, not generally speaking, a rolled thread or a formed thread will always be stronger than a cut thread, because you're deforming the material, so the material flows through the form of the thread as opposed to cutting through the material. So it's always a stronger thread. Generally, you're going to get a better gauge thread. Its tool life, again, generally will be increased over a cut thread or a cut tap, and the productivity, you can run quicker with a roll tap and over a cut tap.
It's worth pointing out as a warning. It's a different core diameter, therefore a different tap drill.
Yeah,
rather.
Yeah. With thread forming against thread cutting, whereas you'd do your tapping drill, a thread pitch down on the nominal diameter. You approximately, as a rule of thumb, half a pitch down on nominal diameter. And the reason for that is you're no longer cutting the thread to size and creating swarf, you're actually forming the material into the thread form.
And this product we're looking at today goes the next step, arguably, it's carbide.
Yeah, it is. It's solid carbide thread former. It's been developed primarily for high volume production, but obviously being carbide, the speeds that you can get out of the out of the tool. If you've got smaller batches, but your productivity is imperative, then it could also give you some cost savings there. But primarily, it's a volume product. It's a volume product.
So, guys, if you're watching this, please do come into us. Pros and cons against roll tapping, or maybe you're not high production. You're asking, should I still look at carbide taps rather than HSS, PM materials or HSS materials? But obviously, you've got to hold this. So, why should engineers use a soft synchro tap adapter?
With carbide, I'd always recommend a soft synchro and small diameter taps. The reason being, on any machine tool, the Z-axis and the spindle obviously are orientated together, but you're always going to get some kind of little bit of mismatch between the servos. So with the soft synchro, that takes account of that. It compensates for that, which means you're going to get a more secure process, more tool life, and a better quality thread. Yeah,
and you're absolutely right. Most people say I need volume to use carbide taps. There's an increase in cost of the components, but I always think there's going to be a payback regardless. If this is a common thread, you probably only ever need one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that could last you for the lifetime of the component and the lifetime of the job. Yeah.
And you've already covered this, but in terms of the integrity of the thread, a cut tap or a thread milled thread, or against a roll tap, how do they all stack up?
Well, you'll always gauge better with a formed thread. It's a more accurate thread. You do have to bear in mind there's certain industries where you can't use a roll thread. I call it a roll thread because that's what I've always called it instead of a thread former, because with it forming the material, you get a crest form, so you have particle traps. So it can't be used in such as the medical industry, food industry, and aerospace because of potentials with the forming.
Sure. Without getting too much into deformation and elongation of materials, what materials can be roll threaded? Again, it used to be purely aluminium, but it's come forward now.
Yeah, primarily it's designed around steels up to 380 Brinell. That is what we class as our primary application area. Secondary application area are in cast irons and non-ferrous or aluminiums. So 9% silicon or less and 8% elongation capability within the cast iron. So a ductile end.
And for people just tuning in, please do give us your questions. But just a bit of a recap in terms of the productivity gains, like tool life, it's going to be, there's no comparison. Yeah. But in terms of productivity gains, what are we going to see that like a powder met type material against a carbide material?
Well, cutting speed against a powder met tap or powder met thread former to a carbide thread former, you're looking at probably 3 times the cutting speed. The beauty of the TC470 is we've also now developed this with, traditionally we've had 5 lobes for forming. This has got 7 lobes. So it reduces the friction, it allows us to go quicker, and it improves the tool life of the tool immeasurably.
And we're not putting coolant through the front of the tool. It's coming out within them on the low spot, the lobes.
We have solid tools, so no through coolant. We have axial through coolant for blind holes, and we have the radial coolant, which is actually exiting. Unlike the traditional taps, it's exiting in 2 different parts of the tool and at 2 different angles. So you're always going to get a good coolant supply to the critical point, which is the first 2 lobes that are in contact.
There we are. Lindsay, I believe I have a question coming in.
Yeah, we've got it en route, it's on the way. But we've got lots of you liking us on all of the social media platforms, so thank you so much. And we do really encourage you to get your questions in. I do have one from earlier, but I think, so I'm just going to go previously back. We've got one coming in, but it's just been written to me, sent to me. So, Liam Carter from Arnold Rag, this is the smaller tooling that we spoke with before with Ian.
Yeah.
Yes, the one I cannot believe you can get through spindle, the coolant through the tool. That's just crazy. It's so tiny. But what size diameters can this deal with? From Liam Carter from Arnold Rag.
So for parting off with the DX18 at the moment, it's limited to 35mm diameter, which for most, if you look at sliding heads particularly, most sliding heads are in that range below 42mm. So it'll cover the vast majority of sliding heads for parting off at the moment.
Sure. I'm not sure. Is he on about the slide, the part off, or maybe the drill? I'm not sure. We may as well say. We may as well do both.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, it was the so what size diameters can this deal with?
Yeah,
You've covered that one. I've got another question though, not to fret. Right, so next question. Can you use, this is from Martin Khan. I hope I've said your name correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Martin. Can you use roll tap on CC 333G bronze?
Never used it, I'll be honest, but it's in the non-ferrous material area, so there's no reason why we can't. I think depending on, I'd need to check on what the what the elongation and what the composition of the material, but there's no reason, because it's sat in the non-ferrous. It may just be an application and maybe just a data change to get that to one.
Can you assist with going out to customers,
yeah,
for
absolutely.
example, to Martin and do some tests?
Yeah, if Martin wants to get in touch with us again on the details on the banner, depending on what area he's in, we can put him in touch with the right person, or we can give him the advice and then get him to get one of the guys that's in his area to follow up with him.
See, this is the perfect thing about doing these live shows, is basically you don't need to go anywhere. It's almost like you're going to an open house, you're going to an event, and you're talking to the industry experts. So Martin, if you've got any more questions, please send them in. And if you are watching, you might be nervous. It's fine to write a message in. Sometimes people do get nervous, but it's a case of what you would ask in person, ask now, because we have got the experts on hand. We have got the ticker going across the bottom if you do want to contact them post the show. Right, okay, now we move on to what Walter are describing as the game changer with the new PVD grade for milling and drilling. It's the infamous Tiger Tech Gold. So over to Walter in Germany.
Parts and components are becoming increasingly lightweight, while their strength increases in different sectors of industry. Simultaneously, these materials are often difficult to cut. Our latest generation of PVD-coated indexable inserts rise to meet these challenges. With the unique Tiger Tech Gold grade WSP 45G, which contains aluminium oxide, you can achieve maximum performance in your machining operations. The new grade's multi-layer coating offers optimum wear detection, higher cutting data, as well as temperature and wear resistance. It improves the behavior of hairline cracks and protects the cutting edge against microfractures. Tiger Tech Gold is pushing the boundaries and achieving major increases in tool life for high alloy and stainless steels, as well as materials with difficult cutting properties, such as nickel-based or titanium alloys. Incredibly simple wear detection, tool life increases of up to 75%, and a high level of process reliability, even under difficult conditions. Take advantage of the benefits of the latest Walter Cutting Tool Material Generation WSP 45G for milling and drilling. Tiger Tech Gold. Go for better. Go for gold.
So, my pleasure, dear viewers. We have a large range of different components and materials to machine. A lot of them are difficult to cut. In combination sometimes with unstable clamping, we have to use longer tools. We are machining on multi-axial machines, as seen in the picture on a turn milling center. And this is a big challenge for our cutting tools and of course for our cutting materials. Our latest generation of PVD coating rises to meet these challenges. Now I want to give you more details about the technology behind the new coating. Worldwide unique is still that we have an aluminium oxide coating within a PVD process. This enables longer tool life even under these difficult cutting conditions. We have a multi-layer. It's a combination between a titanium aluminum nitride and an aluminum oxide coating. The improved crystalline structure of the aluminum oxide coating allows us to increase the cutting parameters, which means we can increase the cutting speed up to 20%, even with a higher tool life. The high hardness of the titanium aluminum nitride reduces the flank wear, which also increases the tool life. In combination with that, we have a special mechanical post-treatment to avoid thermal cracks and to avoid chipping off the cutting edge. Thermal cracks are a typical wear pattern in milling. We have a different temperature level when the tools goes in and out of cut. And therefore, it's very important to identify the wear in good times. So therefore, we design the insert with a light gold-colored top layer that you can always see if the cutting edge is new or already was in use. Now I want to show you an example from the automotive industry. Machining of a turbocharger. It's a heat-resistant cast steel 1.4837. We compared the existing grade with the new grade. What we didn't change were the cutting parameters. So we keep speeds and feet, and also the used tool was a face milling tool with a double side heptagon insert. We keep the same. So we can see one-to-one the influence of the new grade. The results are absolutely convincing. We could increase the tool life by 60% from 56 up to 19 workpieces. And you can clearly see the different wear. On the top, we have the former grade, and you can see that we have a flank wear which goes to the middle of the insert thickness. And also you can see we have chipping on the cutting edge. In comparison to that, on the bottom, the new grade, we have a constant flank wear and there is no chipping on the cutting edge. This is important because the following tool of this process has to remove the burr which comes from the roughing tool safely. We have also a good balance between wear resistance and toughness, so it's possible to use this grade dry or wet. So TigerTech Gold is the first choice for difficult machining conditions and for manufacturers with frequently changing workpieces and materials.
Right, thank you so much from Walter in Germany. That's amazing. Now, I've personally got a question for you. So I'm watching this and I'm seeing all of the improvements and how the coating is going to work. But how does this alchemy that they create and you've created of coatings get tested, get proven out? You know, we get told all of this information, but how's it all backed up?
The way we look at it, Lindsay, is we've got the facilities in Germany from the tech centre where we can do the testing of our own tools. Once that's established and we've got a product that we want to get tested on in the field, we will happily approach customers and work with them so that they get firsthand the potential of the savings that can be achieved from the developments that we make. So application engineers, Dean, myself, the guys in the south will talk to the customers, use their real life machines and their components to do testing without interrupting their production process so much, so that we can get some more feedback, because bolting a piece of metal to the table and running a nice short spindle doesn't necessarily give us the data that the customer will believe. The real life testing is done in the field, and we take that information, we tweak the tool in, and then we launch it.
So I guess it's like you're proving out the processes with real life people to actually say, you know what, hey, it works, and you know what we're bringing you is real, it works, and you know what, try it out yourself and then go from there, really.
Yep, exactly that.
Yeah. So, of course, if you do want and you're interested in any of Walter's products, do get in touch with the guys here. We've got across the ticker, across the bottom, their personal email addresses. So if you are interested, get in touch with them. But throughout the show, we've still got lots of new technology to show you. But throughout the show, get your messages in, get your questions in, and it will come straight through to myself. And then we'll ask the guests here those questions. Right, over to you, Joe.
Yeah, so Tiger Tech Gold, for people just tuning in, may have just missed that video. Let's start at the beginning. Tiger Tech Gold, what is it?
Tiger Tech Gold is the third generation of Tiger Tech. Tiger Tech was first released in 2005 as a PVD aluminium oxide coated insert, and it's still the world's first PVD aluminium oxide coating. We've had an evolution through Tiger Tech Silver, and now we're at the stage where we're releasing Tiger Tech Gold. Have a guess what the colour will be next time? We don't know yet.
Platinum.
But presumably, gold's going to be better than silver.
Gold is better than silver, and just touching on the answer to the question that we did last, we've done the testing in the tech centre, we've done some testing in real life in the field, and we're seeing improvements from a tool life point of view and from an improvement in cutting speed as well.
So, in terms of the coating, is it something that should be applied using coolant or dry, or does it depend on the application?
WSP 45G is aimed at steels, stainless steels and ISO S materials, where for steels and for the stainlesses we would suggest that they run dry. For the heat resistant superalloys, titanium alloys, we run it wet.
So what's the plan for implementation? This product's live?
This product will be going live at IPAC 2020. The first stage is our XtraTech XT product, which is the next generation of our XtraTech product. That's been released early part of this year, back end of last year. So that will be the first stage of it. Then we move on to the Blacks, which is the one that we can see on the table here. The Blacks generation of cutters, both 90 degrees, 45 degrees, and then we get into our M4000 universal range of cutters as well.
So this is the new grade. It's what I would call it, even though it's what your premium grade, not necessarily on price but on performance, I mean. But it's a good all-rounder as well.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's an all-rounder, Joe. It's got its applications predominantly for difficult to machine applications. It's a tough grade. It's got the benefits of the coating that can prevent thermal cracking and increase the tool life. So I would recommend that it's a roughing grade. We're seeing more and more materials being brought to the marketplace now which are difficult to machine. We're seeing more and more applications that have long overhangs, difficult applications. Tiger Tech Gold 45S is where that will come into its prime.
And as you've taken the time to bring this cutter in today, just talk us through this tangential milling cutter.
This is the Blacks technology cutter. The cutter bodies are machined in their hardened state, so therefore they're far more accurate than a standard cutter. This is true 90 degrees with a 4-edged milling solution, and it's going to be available with the WSP 45G grade inserts very soon.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about, obviously on the video they did demonstrate, but again for people just tuning in, this is a tangential milling cutter, but the actual insert range, the coatings are going to be run across the whole range. High feed cutter, 90 degree, 45.
Yeah, XtraTech XT covers 90 degree, covers 45 degree, 75 degree. The Blacks covers 90 degree, covers 45 degree, and then M4000, the universal one, starts at 90 degrees, 45 degrees, high feed, which is from, seems to be flavour of the month out in the marketplace at the minute. Teak slot cutters, chamfer mills. We've got the full range.
Brilliant.
Ian, you're like a walking catalogue. How do you remember all of that information? You're like 90 degrees, 40. How do you do that?
I'm allowed to bring my notes on this one, Lindsay.
Oh, is that what it was?
We've worked with the product for many years. We sit in the training product releases on a yearly basis or twice yearly, depending on what we're doing. We have to absorb all that. Yes, we rehearse, we practice, but we do have catalogues. There's information available on the internet. Anybody in the marketplace can access most of the information that we can.
There you go.
We're just there to help them out and apply the tools better.
And that's why you're called an industry expert and a professional, so thank you. Okay, so next up we introduce Walter's newly acquired digital solutions provider, Comara, which I know Joe loves. So to hear about Comara iCut and Comara AppCom systems, and they'll analyse, monitor and improve your machining processes. Okay, thank you for that demonstration there. Now, this is machine monitoring software. And last night, I've got a question for you, actually. Sorry, Joe, I'm going to throw you into the deep end because we worked yesterday on site at a machine shop, and then we went to a hotel last night. And Joe's words basically were, "Oh my goodness, have you seen the new Comara software?" So, Joe, my question is for you, actually. What is it about this software you're so fascinated and what impresses you?
Well, you know, I'm happy to explain, but we'll go back to Germany to listen to the experts first.
Right.
How about that?
I'll get your answer after then.
And materials to machine. A lot of them are difficult to cut. In combination sometimes with unstable clamping, we have to use longer tools. We are machining on multi-axial machines as seen in the picture on a turn milling center. And this is a big challenge for our cutting tools and of course for our cutting materials.
Thank you very much. And to begin with, I would like to answer the question, what is Comara iCut? And as you already seen behind me, Comara iCut is a software which is installed directly on the CNC control on a machine. It is an intelligent software and it thinks and acts in real time. Now, how does it work? iCut measures up to 500 times a second the spindle performance. And with that data, it adjusts automatically the feed rate. So this means it increases and decreases several times a second the feed rate. Now, if you have, for instance, preconditions like deviations in allowances, workpiece structure fluctuations, or even air cuts, then these are preconditions where iCut could be helpful. Now, The typical users of iCut or people working with iCut are, for instance, production managers, machine operators, and also machine tool builders. Now, iCut has been installed already on over 500 machines, and within that, we did achieve some really good benefits. For instance, we could say that iCut saves by average 10% per tool when installed on the machine, and we also think that it leads to a longer tool life, which means as we machine or as iCut machines with a better feed rate or with an optimized feed rate, it's also better for the tool and also better for the spindle for the machine. What it also does is that the tools iCut works with could also prevent tool breakage. So this is also what we call a side effect of iCut, where the customers benefit from that.
My pleasure to introduce.
So, Joe, still the same question, even though we know a little bit more and we're slightly more educated on it. What do you love about it? Because I've never really heard you go, oh my goodness, this software is amazing. So, over to you, Joe.
Yeah, well, for me, it's the lack of operator intervention. You add the software to the machine tool, and basically that's it. For me, even if you get a small incremental percentage increase of something 5, 6, 7%, over the man hours of that machine, even on the single shift, the payback is going to be colossal. Machine tools are expensive, and quite often you don't get visibility where that money is going. When I say money, I mean, you know, operator time, downtime, idle time. Why was that feed rate down at 50%? Things like this. So for me, it gives the owners of the business, the management, visibility, not spying on people. There's no personal data being involved here. You're basically looking at how you can squeeze as much water out the sponge as possible. You know, do I need to buy a machine tool? Well, I don't know how efficient I am. So do I need a machine tool, or do I need to improve on my efficiencies? So that's my answer, Lindsay.
Yeah, I think to be honest, Joe, you've kind of semi-sold it to us. So is that all right? I'm only joking.
Yeah. So, but again, let's start with the basics. Fundamentally, what is Comara?
Comara is a software house, been established since 2004. It became part of the Walter Group a few years back, and it provides us with two pieces of software that we can take to customers to do exactly what you've just explained, Joe. The two pieces of software are AppCom and iCut. If we look at iCut first, it's a piece of software that will sit on the machine tool, and it will measure the spindle up to 500 times per second to understand whether the feed rates can be adapted to reduce the cycle time of the tool that's in the spindle. If you can then apply that through every tool that's in the process, we can see savings of between 10 and 15% across a cycle.
And in terms of them, again, I always like to talk about the business size. So if I was a large global blue chip, yes, for sure, this is for me. But I think if it's me in my shed, on my own, I still want to know where my money is going. So would you agree it applies to a good old SME as well as the largest companies in the world? Definitely so.
The application that they showed right at the end of that video, small savings on a 3-axis machine, which is we see an awful lot of in subcontractors. There's savings to be had right from the bottom right the way through to the top. You mentioned savings. How is that calculated? This is a subscription service which we'll come on to, but how is that saving calculated? Each saving would be calculated slightly different. Each customer's hourly rate can vary. And it's a question of, we can save with iCut between 10 and 15% on the spindle. With AppCom, it could be far greater because you're monitoring the whole process from start of the shift to the end of the shift to understand where the machine downtime is, where the feed rates have been reduced. You can also measure the program changes. So all of them can be analysed, and as long as they're actioned, the savings can be up to 20-30%.
And I know it's not on every control yet, so what's available?
On iCut, it's only available on Siemens and Heidenhain. With AppCom, it's available on Siemens, Heidenhain, Fanuc systems. So it's a little bit more flexible. It is a dashboard system, and it's reviewing your whole machine shop, whereas iCut works slightly differently. It's monitoring the machine spindle. So you say Siemens as an example, so 828D or whatever, a milling machine. 840D upwards. Okay, as well as turning centres? Yes. Because to me, it would be interesting to see the analysis on it, but I think you'll see a bigger saving on different types of machines, like
VMCs are notoriously poor efficient. You know, I would a load of places and manufacturers you go to as low as 20%, but then they're too busy and need to buy another machine. In my eyes, this could save you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds, proving that.
Certainly that, and it's definitely an option to try and understand whether you need a new machine. Is, you know, we do offer this as a trial for people in their machine shops to understand if they can see the benefits before they outlay millions of pounds for new machine tools, or they benefit from the software and take the actions from the software and go forward from there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got a question. I was working the other day, and Paul Jones, who from MTD, we were talking and we were saying like how what does a machine shop manager do? What can he do or she do to make their life easier? And I know you're saying that this does. So physically, how from start to finish is this going to fit in with a machine shop? Like literally, go tell me the process of what will happen. Will it be yourself go on site, they'll install it? Tell me the whole process of bringing this into your machine shop and the benefits. I know you've covered them, but in general again.
Okay, the process from start to finish is obviously a site analysis to understand if the machines are capable of receiving both APCOM or iCut. Once that's established, they say plug and play, but nothing is ever plug and play nowadays. But it is a case of a PC supplied with a network cable that links to the machine tool. We understand customers' data is a security issue sometimes, so it would sit on the customer's network in most instances, so it's not accessible from outside by anybody. The machine shop manager, as you asked there, Lindsay, would be able to understand from the APCOM side, a dashboard. We all walk into factories nowadays and we see dashboards everywhere with red and green lights. He would be able to see his whole machine shop from one screen to understand if they're running or they're not running. It's then taking that data analysis and understanding the overall equipment effectiveness, understanding what's caused that, putting them issues correct to improve that. The iCut bit can work in conjunction with that because as the program is running through for the machine tool, then it can adapt the feed rates to suit to increase decrease the cycle times, and that's where the savings would come from running both systems. You don't have to run both systems, you can run one or the other.
Is this working in line with the new industry, the 5S, and people taking control of their machine shops and making it more of an organised situation? Because we've spoken to different machine shops about consultants coming in and improving machine shops where tooling and everything is. Is that in line with that, the new 5S system that goes out there?
It's definitely in line with any production system. You know, each customer will have a lean philosophy nowadays, all derived back from the Japanese techniques, but once you start and lay the foundations, you then move on to improving them. This definitely sits with that to get the data you need to make the changes. As it is now, it's probably a case of they take the data from a production sheet at the end of the shift, and that information is just put to one side and nothing's ever done with it. This system works on the computer.
Brilliant.
You mentioned a trial. Tell us more about the trial.
What trial? Everyone loves a trial. We have access to both APCOM and iCut as tests, and that is a 4-week period on the machine tool at the customer, so we can then take that real data, not the data that we've run on our machine tools in Germany or anybody else's data. They can then justify the costs to themselves to say, yes, this is definitely a benefit to us and we want to implement it.
Is that something we want to talk about today, cost, or is that something we should talk directly to the engineers?
I think it's one that needs a little bit more discussion with engineers because we need to understand the machines that are in the facilities at the start. But by all means, as we've said all the way through this, contact Dean, myself, or Walter Tools, and we'll progress it from there.
Like you say, we keep saying it, get in touch with Walter, but on this, Lindsay knows I like it. Please do get in touch. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Every machine shop on the planet has got an element of OEE improvements. Some of the more superior businesses in terms of OEE, it may be small 1, 2, 3 incremental steps, but I can assure you, we visit hundreds of companies a year. Some of these could save 10, 15, 25%.
Definitely.
Okay. Right then, so we're going to be moving on to our final session now. So this is the final chance for you to get your messages in, write in, get those questions in. They'll come straight through to myself, and then we can ask the industry experts. And we've got Anna Savetta, who's going to be joining us on set in just a few moments. We are going to be talking about tool management, and we're going to see how Walter are showcasing their ability to be flexible, transparent, cost conscious, and as a trusted partner, handling the total tool cycle.
Our promise, your best performance guaranteed. Walter is synonymous with unrivaled expertise in the machining industry. We use this expertise to make your production environment highly efficient and fit for the future, with Walter engineering competence for every stage of your value creation process. We come to your premises to design your processes, both digital and real, together with you. From goods receipt through to goods dispatch, we talk you through with our comprehensive Walter Tool Management services. Walter Tool Management. Ordering and purchasing. With Walter Tool Management, our experienced expert staff supports you with inventory planning and monitoring, all directly from your premises. You can start up production right away. Walter Tool Management is based on the automatic tool management system. The entire inventory is captured digitally. When stock falls below a certain level, an order is placed automatically. This means your purchasing department can focus on more important things, and the staff in your production department always have access to the tools they need. It's fast, transparent, and efficient. Inventory management. Walter Tool Management gives you complete control over your tool warehouse. This ensures that tools are supplied on time and reduces your capital commitment, which in turn optimizes your net current assets. So you can put your money to work rather than having it locked up in storage. This means you benefit from higher liquidity and free up staff capacities that you can put to more effective use. We're flexible too and can manage existing storage systems. Thanks to our data, you always know your exact stock levels, which eliminates the risk of stocks becoming too high or running too low. Tool presetting and intralogistics. From assembly to testing, Walter Tool Management makes sure that all your tools are preset professionally. We combine decades of experience and technical expertise with the very latest technologies to achieve maximum results. Technological support. Our experienced application engineers provide you with professional assistance at every stage of the production process, all the while utilizing the possibilities of digitization. Our digital solutions get to the heart of the machines and processes, using data to identify the main cost drivers and show you where untapped potential lies. Reconditioning, recycling management. We recondition worn-out tools to the best standard possible and introduce them back into the tool cycle so that they can be used for new applications. Tools are recycled in line with environmental regulations once they reach the end of their life cycle. Continuous optimization. We make your costs transparent and predictable, reduce financial risks, while ensuring your productivity. Benefit from our services and thereby optimize your business metrics. In other words, make Walter Tool Management your competitive advantage.
So also from my side, a very warm welcome to our audience. Yeah, with the tool management services, Walter offers to take over your tool life cycle services. If you're searching for a partner that is reliable and professional in handling those activities, we will do all the necessary activities starting from the demand planning of the tools, so what is needed when and where in your shop floor, to the procurement of the items and the storage in therefore appropriate systems in your shop floor. On top of that, Walter is also possible to provide you the presetting and measurement of the items so you can get them ready to machine in your machining area and in your machine shop. We're closing this life cycle with the reconditioning of the items in original manufacturer quality or the environmental friendly recycling of the items at the end of their tool life. This whole life cycle is always accompanied by professional technical experts who will make sure that you always have the latest technology in your shop floor and continuously grow your productivity. Walter have two different service offers in the terms of tool management. The classic tool management package that you've just saw, where we take over parts or the entire tool life cycle, or especially for big series or mass productions, the so-called fee per part offer. Here, on top of the classic tool management, you will get also the full technical responsibility by Walter, so you actually pay only for those items that have been in productive use in your shop floor. Every tool management project by Walter is implemented by an experienced professional tool management expert that is responsible to, first of all, do a concept in a very close collaboration with you together, so that we both achieve our common target to have robust processes and a sustainable process optimization and to generate cost saving.
Our promise.
Okay, there we have it. Thank you very much to Marcus and all the Walter UK colleagues from Germany throughout today. It's been a massive help. Many thanks. Anna, welcome to Walter.live. You well?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you.
Good. What are the advantages of tool management from your good selves at Walter?
Basically, our customers can benefit from two things. First one is financial benefit, which is probably one of the most important benefit these days. Because there is loads of pressure on our customers to deliver cost savings or to cut the cost. And the second major advantage or major benefits for our customers is, as we, Walter, take care of the tool life cycle, the full tool life cycle, and the logistics of it and technical aspect of a tooling, our customers can fully focus on their core business, which is on producing components, basically.
So as this show's moved on, it's quite obvious to the people watching, you're not just selling cutting tools, you're almost consultants now.
Yes, that's true. I'm more like a project manager that introduced, that is an expert in tool management and services, not such on a product. And I introduce those project, and I'm also I advise our customers how in every step of the way when we introduce those projects.
Yeah, and many businesses, SMEs up to the largest companies in the world, they're starting to get digitalisation. Yeah. So is demand growing for these services, including tool management?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Especially now when there is loads of pressure, as I already mentioned, there is loads of pressure on companies to cut the cost. Sometimes, or even it's a growing trend that we can see that tool management is a way forward for customers. So when we take care of tool life cycle, when we take care of the some part of this customer business, we guarantee the performance and we guarantee the cost savings. And when customers usually look at their processes and optimization of these processes, they very often find out that optimizing those processes can take loads of time, loads of resource, and it's quite not cost effective for the customer. So they are very grateful to give this to Walter.
Yeah, is there anything that makes your offering different to other manufacturers' tooling management services?
Yes, so Walter has coming from a very strong engineering and machining background. Can very sort of first we can offer customer can ensure that he always have the right tool for their application. And logistics side of it, which is tool management services, guarantee that this tool is always going to be available for the operation when they need it.
Yeah, so for engineers watching this at home, how does this journey begin? Do you have to say, yes, Walter, here's everything, or can you do it in baby steps and grow with Walter?
Yes, absolutely. So for the very first thing, customer doesn't have to take all in. Obviously, Marcus told us or showed us the full life cycle to managing tools. However, customer doesn't have to take all in. They can take just the bit of it. And Walter, in fact, we need to make sure that we are very flexible, and we make sure that tool management offer is customized to customer requirement, to customer needs.
That's very true, because there's very few CNC machinists where their factory is the same as the factory next door. Everyone's got different problems, everyone's got different requirements.
Yeah,
so I guess
true.
This is the element of the project management you mentioned.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so how does, I use the term onboarding, so I'm interested to learn more, and I'm happy to progress. How does that onboarding, how does that work, that cycle?
So you're basically asking for the process of introducing those tool management project. So basically, we start process with firstly identifying customer requirements. So we go on a customer site, we send a tool management expert or project manager, if you can call it that way, that spent a day or two with customer, with key stakeholders, to identify the current processes. Then we take that processes and we analyze and we optimize those processes. Then we usually present that processes and the future way of working to our customers. And this is when we start. Customer usually have details when he would like to change here or adjust here. And this is when the whole journey starts. We make sure that we work with customer on those details, so we follow the customer demand.
Sure, we're running out of time, but I've got two things to mention. Does it take long to start getting results?
No, and this is the benefit or positive part of Walter Tool Management Services. It doesn't take long for customer to see the benefits of this. So we usually at the very start of the project, we show customers benefit calculator when he can see in which area he will see the improvement and cost benefits. And then typically after first 2 or 3 months, customer can harvest first benefits of Walter Tool Management Services. And after, I would say, about 6 months, then he can see the full benefit.
And the final one for me, it's a topic in itself, but just a quick one. We saw a little example on that video, fee per part.
Yes.
Can you tell us just a little bit?
So just to summarize what already Marcus mentioned, fee per part is when customer doesn't pay for tools itself. Customer doesn't take the risk of paying different prices for tools. Customer pay for fixed price per component, which is agreed prior to the implementation of the project. And then for duration of the project, the cost is stable for customer. So we take the risk.
Wow, okay, so I've got a question for you, Anna, as well. If you want to grab a drink, by all means, just grab a drink.
Okay, thank you.
But my question is, and this is just kind of on a side note, because we did introduce Dean and we introduced Ian earlier, but Anna, how did you get into this industry? As a female in the industry myself, I'm always keen and really excited. We've got Maria in the background as well, who's helping out. So it's really nice to have a company come into the studio, be willing to be interviewed as well, but also have females. So for yourself, where did you come from, and with Walter, and how have you progressed throughout the company yourself?
So I come from very engineering background. I've got engineering degree, and I always was within a manufacturing automotive company. So I come from automotive background. In fact, I come from a manufacturing background.
Oh wow!
I was in the Jaguar Land Rover before. Now I'm with Walter, and I just love it. And being woman in engineering is great thing. Gives me a sense of achievement, but also it gives loads of benefit to women. So you probably might know that.
I like that as an answer. Right, okay, I've got a question lined up that's come in. I don't know if Joe, have you finished with your questions as well? So, okay, my question is, and potentially actually I think this might be to Dean, actually, so we might just have to swap you over if that's all right, just for a few moments. I'm just going to say a big thank you as well, so thank you to Anna for getting involved as well. So thank you for watching the Walter.live UK. If you have any questions, you've literally got the next 20 seconds pretty much to send them in. We've covered everything, but if you want to get in touch with Walter Direct themselves or through the MTD channels, please send those questions in. And, you know, like we've said, and like Ian said, like Dean said, like Anna said, speak to Walter, get them out to you. You know, if you want a tool in your workshop so you can have some testing or anything like that, the machine monitoring system, speak to them because they are willing to come out to you and you have trials. Right, my question to yourself, Dean, then is, with Sandvik owning Walter and Seco, how do the companies in the group work together? And this is from Naresh and Sharma. So basically, in essence, is what he's saying is the competition in the industry as well. How's that?
That's good. That's a good one.
It's a good question. Yeah, thanks for that one, Naresh.
Yeah, Sandvik own Sandvik Coromant, Walter and Seco, as you rightly say. We are all competitors in our own right within the group banner. We don't necessarily work together on projects. The competition that we give each other, because we've all got our own areas of expertise, but we do come up against each other in certain instances. The competition's good. It drives us to be better and try and stay in front of each other. You know, it's a constant. I'm not going to say battle because it's not a battleground.
No.
A fun battle.
Yeah, it's a fun battle.
But I always my personal beliefs on competition is it drives you to get better. You know you've got the new products that you're bringing out, and with the testing facilities, it brings you forward. You know, there's no wrong in saying a healthy competition is a good thing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's the old adage, running to stand still. Yeah. If you don't run faster than the other person's going to go past you.
Okay, well, a massive thank you to Anna, to Ian, to Dean for joining us, and of course to our very own Joe for the questions as well. So any questions you have whatsoever, do send them into ourselves or into Dean and Ian with their emails that are coming across at the bottom. So thanks to everybody. We wish you a very safe journey home and a lovely afternoon. So thank you very much.